All right.
It's live, love.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going. All right. So let's get into how Black people on our economics aren't where it needs to be for a reason. And the reason starts from childhood. See, we can get into the history of everything. We can talk about how Black wealth connects to one thing or the other, or how white people did this. We can get into that, but we have to begin from the beginning, which is childhood. So when kids, right, aren't being taught to be confident in themselves from the beginning, it gets very hard to build wealth as you grow up, because we're automatically put in school. We dedicate 8 hours of our day, 5 days a week, growing and learning topics that don't really add up in adulthood. Maybe a couple things, learning how to read, learning how to write, but that can get done very quickly. That can just be a way of life, and it doesn't take 8 hours of the day to do all of that, you know? So, in this position and in the space that we're in, right, we have to learn how to feel through things, see through things, okay? All right. Anywho, why am I pausing so much? Cool. So yeah, in this wake of life as kids, right, when we're taught to be aware of obeying parents, being taught to follow religion, being taught to constantly put power outside of yourself and into other people and external forces that you aren't 100% sure about. Okay? It's not making any sense, nor does it add up. For now, the expectation is that your life as an adult will be more efficient, that you'll think highly. That's probably not going to happen. Okay? It really won't. If you think about how everything works and how everything goes, let's get into me and my work, right? I work in the school field, behavior tech, boom. I've seen the difference between Black kids and I've seen the difference between white kids. I've worked in poor income areas and high income areas. And when I tell you there is a difference in how they behave as kids, how they move, there is a big difference. And if you're not sure about the difference, if you're not clear about the difference, you'll think that Black people are just where they're at because they're meant to be there. Or you'll do this coon behavior, self-hating behavior. You're not gonna feel confident in your race because you're gonna see things as, oh well, everyone has the same starting points. No, we don't. Okay, so let me get to the point, right? Let me speak about the point, because this point is crazy. Black kids, usually from what I've seen in the school systems, they'll act out. There's a lot of, they have to apologize. They like, there's so many different ranges of what Black kids have to worry about. Even physique, right? If you develop early, I developed early. I'm sitting here 9 worrying about my shape when I'm still a kid. And I'm pulling down my shirt because I feel like a bit conscious in it. You know, I'm like, oh my gosh, like my bra isn't right. Like, I'm feeling really conscious. Well, white kids, they don't really develop as fast. And if they do, more often than not, they're not being pushed to worry about those subtle things. But let me not say white kids don't do that, because there's definitely a culture when it comes to being body conscious as a woman, if anything. But more often than not, we're taught to just be caught up in our space, you know? But the point is, right, when it comes down to all of this shit, when it comes down to being a kid, when it comes down to being a black child, you have to be put in a position to be self-aware more than the average kid. Your parents are coming home stressed, they're coming home worn out, they project that energy on you. You're taught to have to give everything out or else you don't have it. You're taught to be flashy. You're not taught to like just chill and do whatever you want. You're taught this is a white people thing. This is a black people thing. No, we can't do that. You have to work twice as hard. No, it's not possible. You have to work extremely difficult. Like it's like you're telling kids like they have to do burn out themselves in order to get to where they need to go. And it's like, of course, it's going to be harder to get to where you're going when you're burnt out. So black kids get pushed to be burnt out. They get pushed to be like caught up. They get pushed to do all these things, you know? So at the end of the day, you have to think about the life that you want to live, and black kids have to think about the life they want to live, the life that everyone else around them wants to live, the life that if they go out, they get judged, they get searched. Black kids are taught to think about those things very early. So now you have this layer of weight on you that really shouldn't be a thing, because at the end of the day, we have skin. At the end of the day, we're more than what we personally look like, you know? So if you're in a position as a conscious being to have to worry about things other than living, it becomes hard to build wealth. It becomes hard to value your time because you feel like you have to grind and struggle severely for it, while making maybe $7-10 an hour, like for 8 hours in like the southern states. You know, California has it way better, but it's heavy. So how are you gonna build wealth being consistently burnt out and then also not valuing your time? So then when you go into business, you're going to undermine yourself more often than what someone who doesn't have those experiences will. And as kids, you just work with what you've seen, you know, like there's a thing, if you're not exposed to something, you're more likely going to normalize things that don't really make any sense. And it takes a lot of layers to get past that programming. So when we see the difference between like black children and other minorities, specifically I would say Asian and white people, because obviously collectively on an economic scale, they have it. They got it. And it's like, okay, black people can have it too. It's just the certain mind frames, certain foundations, like being Nigerian too, and seeing how Nigerians operate, or just even just collectively Africans. I feel like black people are very similar all over. So when I see all these like diaspora wars online, I'm like, what is going on? Like, it doesn't have to be that deep, but I guess it is, you know, because collectively, when you see the black struggle, you see the economics, we can't really chat too heavy, you know. We got to focus on that, because it shouldn't be a thing where like even online, right, you can say the N-word and it's fine, but then there's certain other words that can get you banned, and it's like, okay, what's going on there? And when I remember like the George Floyd situation, I remember when there was multiple things where like on media, they'll spread black bodies like being killed all over, but then other like races tend to get censored more. But with black people, it's more, everything's out in the open, it was like something I peeped. I was like, wait a second. And then even with media, there was a point in time where we would be out and what you would see with the representation wasn't people that look like me, wasn't 4C hair. You know, there was a natural hair movement, you know. What happened? Everyone's on wigs, you know, I'm wearing a wig. And low-key, I could just take this wig off, but who cares, you know? But there was a point in time where that wasn't as big of a thing, you know? So Black people are worried about all these layers that add to your self-esteem. And when you are trying to build wealth, build your reality up, your self-esteem has to go up too. But as kids, right, as adults, you're just now focused, put your head in the sand. You have to work harder than everyone else. And now you have to slave away just for the sake of saying you have stability. Even if you are making like almost six figures, even if you're making like 60, 70, which is really good, that's being taught like that's not your time. Like that 60, 70K, that's not your time. Like you have to dedicate that time to someone else's business, someone else's thing that doesn't really probably care about Black people more often than not. So it turns into one of those things where it's like you really have to value your time. And when you don't value your time, like we're taught to value it in a way of getting something instead of being in the moment. So of course, Black people, Black children are going to struggle because Black children are new. They're looking around, absorbing everything. And if they're seeing their parents stressed out, they're seeing their parents constantly allocating their time to someone else's business while dealing with issues, while having to even see self-esteem issues, and then they're projecting that onto you, making comments about every little thing just because you're the one to do it to, because their power is being outsourced, you know? Unfortunately, that happens to so many children. So imagine you just come into a new environment and that's what you're exposed to very early on. Of course, you're not going to know that that isn't really the way. Yeah. But I think now, when it comes down to how we all operate and how things flow or connect with us, at this point, there's so much exposure, there's so much opportunity being on the internet, like being exposed to so many different realities that now people can be aware that there's more than what meets the eye, that there's more than what we've been told. So now Black people collectively can be like, okay, I want to do this. I want to try this, you know, and I think eventually we'll all get there. I just think it just takes time and layers and ups and downs. I mean, I'll be hopeful. I just know that I want to live that reality while I'm here, you know? And it takes one person to change so many different things. It just takes one. And if you know in your mind, hey, I want to live a different reality from what I've been taught as a child, then you stick through it. Then you're like, okay, I'm going to go against the grain. Okay. I'm going to be creative and do something different because this is the life that I choose to live. And I don't want to have my layers, things that I can't change, affect what I can change. So that's a big thing to sit with, to be honest with you. Everyone's worried about things that are a part of them. And some of those things that you might want to change might be the very things that can give you blessings. Because you're absorbing people telling you, don't wear this outfit, don't put this on, don't try this, don't do this career field. Like you're absorbing all these judgments, right? And then you're thinking that that's the only reality when there's millions of different realities, billions, because every person, you and me, have their own reality and it will not always look the exact same. And that's completely fine. And that's like the beautiful thing too about being yourself is that you know your reality connects, so someone else will also connect, and vice versa, or someone might disconnect. Whatever the case is, right? You're not alone in any of this. There's other Black people just like you and I who understand like there is more than what we have been taught, and that we can go for more because we're alive. Everyone that is born has a right to live. That's what we're doing right now. We all have a right to live. And you have the right to choose how you want to live. And that's what we gotta do. Because whatever starts here can be out here. So, yeah, I'm thankful. And if you're thankful, subscribe, show some love. And I appreciate you guys watching.